Ever wondered about where we came from, how life began, and how it has evolved over billions of years? These are the questions that keep scientists, philosophers, and even the average Joe up at night. Enter evolution, the cornerstone of biology, that grand process which has been quietly, yet relentlessly shaping life on our planet. From the humblest single-celled organism to the complexity of human beings, evolution has its fingerprints on everything. Unraveling the mystery of evolution can offer fascinating insights into the story of life on Earth. Imagine the Earth around 4 billion years ago, a time when life as we know it didn't exist. This was a world vastly different from the one we inhabit today. Volcanic activity was rampant, the atmosphere was thick with gases, and the land was barren, void of any living organism. Yet in this inhospitable environment, life found a way. In the deep, warm oceans, the first single-celled organisms began to form, marking the birth of life on Earth. These primitive life forms were simple, but they carried within them the spark of evolution, the potential for complexity and diversity. The concept of natural selection entered the stage. Those organisms best suited to their environment survived, reproduced, and passed on their advantageous traits to their offspring. Over countless generations, this process led to the evolution of more complex and diverse life forms. From these humble beginnings, life began its incredible journey, evolving and adapting, driven by the relentless force of natural selection. Fast forward to around 600 million years ago, when the first multicellular organisms began to appear. At this point in our timeline, life was just starting to get interesting. Imagine the first multicellular organisms as simple blobs of cells, a far cry from the complex life forms we know today. But as the clock of evolution ticked, these early organisms began to diversify. This period of rapid evolution, known as the Cambrian explosion, was a true turning point in the history of life on Earth. In just a few million years, the oceans filled with an array of strange and wonderful creatures, many of which were the ancestors of the diverse array of species we see today. One of the most striking developments during this period was the evolution of key traits and adaptations. Take the eye, for instance. From the simplest light-sensitive spot, the eye has evolved into an incredibly complex organ, able to perceive the world in stunning detail. And it's not just eyes. Limbs, wings, and countless other traits have evolved in a myriad of ways, each suited to a particular way of life. But how did these changes occur? Well, the answer lies in the genes. You see, every organism carries a set of instructions in its DNA, the blueprint of life. But sometimes these instructions can change through a process called mutation. Most mutations are harmless, but every so often, a mutation occurs that gives an organism an edge, such as a better ability to find food or a more effective way to evade predators. Over time, these advantageous traits become more common and the species evolves. But it's not a straightforward march of progress. Evolution is a tangled web, with branches splitting and merging, species appearing and disappearing. It's a process of constant change, driven by the pressures of the environment and the vagaries of chance. The story of evolution is one of constant change, with species continually adapting and evolving in response to their environment. From the first multicellular organisms to the myriad of life forms we see today, the march of progress continues. But evolution isn't just a thing of the past. It's an ongoing process that continues to shape life on Earth. Evolution didn't stop with the advent of human civilization. It's still happening right now, all around us. Take, for instance, the peppered moth in England. These insects were predominantly light-colored until the Industrial Revolution blackened the trees with soot. The moths evolved into a darker variant, better camouflaged against the pollution-stained trees. With cleaner air regulations, the lighter-colored moths are now making a comeback. Or consider the elephants in Africa. Hunting and poaching for their ivory tusks have led to a rise in the number of elephants born without tusks, a clear example of natural selection in response to human activities. Even in the microscopic world, evolution is rampant. Bacteria and viruses evolve rapidly, often to outsmart our medicines. The flu virus, for instance, changes its genetic makeup every year. making it a moving target for vaccines. Our actions, intentional or not, have become a part of this grand evolutionary process, shaping the life forms that share the planet with us. We're not just observers of evolution, we're active participants. And it's not just about survival. Evolution is also about innovation and diversity, with each species tweaking and tuning its genetic code to better thrive in its environment. So, as we ponder the big question of where we came from, we realize that evolution is not just about the past, but also about the present and the future.